out here in Fairfax for this video preview of the upcoming WCAC girls basketball season. I'm Jack Feely, joined by the Washington Post's Isabel Kershudian. Isabel, let's get right into it. The WCAC always produces great players that go on to play college ball at the highest level. Who are some of the players that could continue that trend?
Yeah, John Quinay Cole, she's an NC State signee. She's going to be probably one of the best players in the league this year at PBI. Center, 6'4", she's going to have a great season this year. A good counsel, the returning first-team All-WCAC players, Nicole Nabasi. She's a senior for them, and she's going to have a big role. They expect a lot out of her. Then at Elizabeth Seton, it's going to be point guard Raven Fox. She's the only player they have coming back last year who played a lot of time, and so they're going to be depending on her a lot this year.
So let's mention some of the teams that you think could possibly, we always think St. John's and, Elizabeth Seton, but are there any teams that could sneak into the top three?
Well, Paul VI is going to definitely be the top team this year. They're nationally ranked. They're loaded. They won the WCAC last year. They lost their best player, Ariana Freeman, but they have a lot of talent coming back. Raven James is a Villanova commitment. She's a junior. John Quinay Cole is going to be really good. They have Jasmine Whitney, who played a lot last year. So they have talent all over the place, and they're going to be a great team. St. John's lost their best player for the season to a knee injury. That's Mari Carter, a Penn State commit. So she's out, but they still have talent all over the place with Nia Beverly and Sarah Overcash are going to be two players who are going to have to step it up for them. And then the third team is probably going to be good counsel. Last year was Elizabeth Seton, but they lost a lot of talent, four of their top scorers. So this year it's more than likely going to be good counsel, who has one of the tallest teams in the league.
And lastly, just very quickly, let's go over some of the storylines that you think are worth mentioning. Obviously, you mentioned St. John's losing one of their best players, but in your mind, some of the storylines that you think will jump out to readers and viewers.
Yeah, who's going to be that third team? Is it going to be good counsel? Is it going to be McNamara, which didn't lose any seniors from last year and has, two Division I talents in Morgan Smith and Micah Johnson-Matthews? So right now it looks like it's good counsel, but it could be Elizabeth Seton, who had a great year last year, if they can rebuild somehow in a short amount of time. And then the other storyline to watch is how is St. John's going to rebound without Carter? Who's going to step up in that role? They have Kayla Robbins coming back. She was injured all of last year with a knee injury, so she'll be back this year, but we sort of don't know how she's going to look.
Well, one thing we know is that the WCAC Girls Basketball League is always competitive no matter what the projections. It's going to be interesting to see how those storylines play out. That's going to do it for this WCAC Girls Basketball preview. If you want to see more league previews, make sure to go to allmetsports.com. For Isabel Kershudian, I'm Jack Feely. Thanks so much. Folks, to this video preview of the upcoming Montgomery County boys basketball season. Jack Feely, joined by the Washington Post's Isabel Kershudian. We're out here at PBI out in Fairfax. And Isabel, while we're out here in PBI, let's talk about the league across the city out in Montgomery County, starting with some of the players that you think are worth watching.
Yeah, Joe Hughley at Magruder is probably going to be the big one to watch this year. He had a great year last year, averaged about 16 points a game, and he's going to be a great player again this year with Ronald Hammond also coming back for them. They're going to have about 3 starters back total, and they're probably going to be one of the stronger teams in the league. At Clarksburg is going to be Andrew Kosteka. He's a junior point guard, already committed to Holy Cross, and averaged about 10 points per game last year, but expect him to have a bigger year this year. Then at Gaithersburg, Anthony Tark was their leading scorer last year, and they're going to have 4 of their 5 starters back. So they're going to be a strong team as well. They won 21 games last year and could be a new face in the county this year.
Yeah, you mentioned some of the teams, actually, so let's switch the focus to that. Some of the top 3 teams. You mentioned Magruder and maybe Paint Branch, but let's get your take on it.
Yeah, it's going to be Magruder. It's going to be a strong team, and then Springbrook is always a good team. And even though they lost a lot of players last year, they're going to be a strong team again with Donovan Walker transferring in from St. Maria Goretti. He played his freshman and sophomore years at Paint Branch, was a great player there, and went off to a private school and is now back in the county. And so people are really excited to see how he does. And as one coach told me, Springbrook always has players, and it's going to be the same this year.
Maybe he likes his public school basketball better than private school. But lastly, let's switch to some of the storylines that you think are worth mentioning for some of the readers and the viewers out in the D.C. area.
Yeah, Springbrook's going to be interesting because they're under a new coach. They had a coach there for 9 years who won 3 state championships in a row. was a really big name in the county, and now it's going to be his assistant, who's the head coach there, Darnell Myers. So it's going to be interesting to see how that transition is, how the team does after they did lose a lot. They lost some players to transfer. They have one player at Montrose now. So even though Donovan's coming in, how Springbrook is going to be interesting, just because they're a team that we traditionally think of as being one of the best in Montgomery County. Then Magruder, how they do. The county was down last year, so just in general, if there's going to be a contender this year from the county, will be a storyline. And Gaithersburg is a name that usually doesn't come up in the county, but because they do have so much coming back and did so well last year, I mean, could they be that new face this year?
All right, we'll see how those storylines play out. That does it for this edition. If you want to see more league previews, make sure to go to allmetsports.com. For Isabel Kashudian, I'm Jack Feely saying so long from PV.